Welcome to Freedom Cast, a podcast dedicated to interviewing star icons and entrepreneurs who have encouraged others to become more healthy and active. My name is Ashton, and it's my pleasure to host you as we take another trip through the fitness industry. It's entertaining and informative, and I hope it makes fitness more exciting and special to you in your own fitness journey. Freedom Cast is supported by Freedom Fitness Equipment in Charlotte, North Carolina. Freedom Fitness Equipment serves the health and fitness community nationwide, from free weights and strength equipment for home gyms and studios to cardio and conditioning equipment for commercial spaces. Check them out at freedomfitnessequipment.com. Let's get rolling with today's show. Welcome, Sam Brown from EliteFTS. I can't remember what your official title is with them, but basically all things digital marketing and social media management and a half a dozen other things, I'm sure, with that company. So welcome to the podcast, man.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, the official, I would say the official title is Director of Performance, but I have no idea what that means.
Sounds about right. Well, awesome. I was just chatting with Sam earlier, a few seconds before the podcast got started, and I just wanted to give you a compliment and say up front that EliteFTS, at least, so I've been watching Dave for a good little while, probably not as much as many years as some, but I love that man. I love the business that he runs and everything that that the business stands for. And they weren't on the map, aside from Table Talk, in the same way that they are now since you joined even a year ago. And I've been seeing much more EliteFTS content, and I'm in the powerlifting space anyway, but
Sure,
much more of them getting out there. And to me, that's a direct reflection on the work that you've been doing, because I'll be frank with you, there was one point at which you had a really shitty media manager. And I don't know if he got canned or whatever. You can talk about it or not, but yeah, that was bad.
I think those were the dark times. That's like the land you're not supposed to go to in the Lion King, right? Like that's like everything the light touches is our kingdom, except over there that's the elephant graveyard. No, that's it. No, like I said, I appreciate it. It's been a year, and there's nothing that has happened to the company that hasn't been a team effort, right? So I can't do anything by myself there without the support of Jacob, Sheena, the whole rest of the crew. But yeah, it's been quite the journey. Even just starting back in March, the plan was to just better and do more. We didn't have exact numbers we wanted to hit. We didn't have, anything in particular in terms of a percentage of growth or anything. It was operation, figure this shit out. And I applaud Dave for letting the team and I really experiment with some things and to just get out there and do more, right? So we started with a plan to have about 5 YouTube videos a week, between 5 and 7, which is a lot. Is a lot of new videos that we make. We republish some of the older videos with newer editing and titles and everything like that. But it's an absolute monster of a task to keep coming out with new information, more information, and to continue on in the direction that we have, which has been really, really cool, right? Which has been an absolute awesome roller coaster to be on. But again, I can't thank the people that have supported us, that have watched our stuff, that have shared our stuff, because without any of that, like we wouldn't be doing any of this stuff, right? Like we wouldn't be able to have these conversations, and people wouldn't be able to know the name and see the name in all these different places if no one gave a shit and no one watched.
Yep.
So like I said, yeah, I appreciate the community, as spicy as some of the comments get on occasion, but even those help lead us in the right direction.
Absolutely. Just to give people an idea, I don't know if you can share numbers. I don't think EliteFTS was even on TikTok until just recently, unless I'm totally missing that boat. But
nope, that was a new thing.
Yeah.
I'm personally like hit or miss on the whole TikTok thing, because the attention span of most people on TikTok is about 5 seconds. And there's not much quality information that you can put on in 5 seconds. But it's a thing that we're experimenting with. Dave's enjoying it, kind of doing them himself, kind of
really
doing
funny.
those like duet things.
Yes.
And we're like, hey man, keep doing you, right? Keep being as Dave as you possibly can. I couldn't stop you if I tried. But again, it's just so many different facets. It's the podcast, which, as you know, is a long form, is kind of, its own animal, its own beast.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the YouTube, we have the Instagram, we have a Facebook. I mean, I think we've grown about 27% in terms of YouTube subscribers over the last year, which in the YouTube space is pretty large. I mean, it was about 102, 103,000 subs, and we're almost at 130 right now. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And that's just from being consistent with it. It's we have access to so many people. We've gotten some really cool guests in over the last year. And I mean, we just had Stan Efferding out. We had Justin Harris, Danny LaMartina. We had Matt Mills, Brittany Diamond. Like, we've had really, really cool people come out, and everybody. I mean, we've had J.M. Blakely back out. We've had Matt Vincent out. We've had, the list goes on and on. We had Juji Mufu come out multiple times.
Oh, I know, that was crazy.
It was awesome, and that was like the coolest thing, because he is one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. And I luckily enough got to meet him a couple times, and now I can actually call him my friend. And he came up, and like his mentality towards creating videos and content and everything like that is so professional that it was amazing to work with him, and everything was just super streamlined and awesome. So I've learned so much from him, and he enjoys coming down and just being himself, which is really, really cool. But yeah, no, it's the growth has been amazing to see. And I think it just came from Dave having the people in the places that they can best maximize their talents, right? So to be in the situation where I have an awesome media team, like, it just makes things so easy. They're like, hey, just stand over there and we'll talk about this thing. I'm like, cool. And they're like, oh, don't forget, don't touch the cameras. I'm like, all right, cool. Sounds good. I won't touch any of the expensive stuff. This is great.
Well, and you mentioned, I mean, you've got a lot of high profile guests on the podcast, but just for context, for people who don't know or don't watch Table Talk, you should. The Dave's had, and you guys have had people on there before that have been high profile, and it hasn't driven the type of traffic that you guys are driving now. Is there anything? Sure. Obviously, the volume increased significantly, which is a very I don't know if you watch Gary Vaynerchuk. It's a very Gary Vaynerchuk thing to do. But
yes, it is.
But also, like, the type of content that you're putting out, I think, is a little bit more. He's not, at least in my estimation, you and Dave are now not talking just to professional powerlifters. Like, you're talking to the everyman a lot more now in the content. Is that part of it, or like what's the strategy then?
Yeah, that was a good pickup, because that was one of the things coming in. We all sat down and kind of chatted about, and it was like, who are we really talking to? Who is the audience of EliteFTS? And for years and years and years, they were kept putting out, and it's no fault to them, that was just the environment. They put out a lot of competitive powerlifting, competitive strength athlete material, which is really, really good. But that is such a smaller niche market that, frankly, either turns people off or intimidates people into wanting to be a part of the community of the brand. So we've been kind of adjusting. We still have some competitive strength athlete material that we put out, but a lot of the time we're spending it focusing in on people that are about 2 to 5 years of training experience that just want to get stronger and look better naked. You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty it's a much more broad audience, but I feel like it's an audience that needs a higher level of material or content or educational material that they can use to get better. And we feel it's kind of a market that we can go into in a positive way, but not in like a pretentious way, right? Like, EliteFTS has had some amazingly strong athletes in the past, but even just from my perspective, even before starting with the company, it's been looking at the almost dated nature of some of the material or some of the people that don't even compete anymore, right? So we had to connect with the environment, with the new environment. We had to connect with the new generation of athletes, coaches, strength enthusiasts, whatever you want to call it. But the key factors have been the same: is we want to provide high quality information for free, which is kind of weird for most companies to say or do. But we really pride ourselves in not only the videos and the podcast, but we're still pumping out 4 to 6 articles a week on the website every single week. So if someone has a question, I'm sure there's a point where someone at EliteFTS has answered it in one form or another.
Yeah. It's wild to me. And I've gone and looked at a few of those articles for lifting before, just how much content is on there about every nuanced aspect of every training, not only training methodology, but like lifting movement. And I think that wasn't getting as much visibility. So I like that it's almost like you guys too are taking the articles and putting them in front of people and being like, yeah, you don't have, I mean, you can read this, but also here, you know?
Well, it's been really helpful even making videos, as we've been able to, we've now revamped our featured columnist sort of process in terms of also bringing on new columnists for the website as well.
Nice.
And now it's really cool because we'll have people that write these articles, and now we can use that material and we can use that direction and make videos that increase the depth of that topic as well. So it's really just taking any of the pieces of content that we have and just maximizing it to its fullest, right? Is we can make one article have 15 or 20 Instagram posts come out of it, as well as 2 or 3 videos explaining the topics in an article, you know? So it's a machine that really feeds itself. That it has been one of our biggest strengths, is just the sheer backlog of information that we can always just roll through and be like, all right, if we're out of ideas, it's like, okay, let's circle back to 2004. Let's see what they were talking about then. And it was funny because when we first started, we had a certain part of the website where it was trying to be a news feed per se, but it just, we kind of nixed that because there wasn't much traffic to it. And a lot of the things we were doing is just, on this day, Jim Wendler did this training session, right? Like, it was just kind of this like throwback stuff because we had just such a backlog of information that we could help share. And a lot of it's still relevant to today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd say I don't know. I still haven't found an outdated article yet. I'm sure people will find some, but like.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure they'll comment and say something horrific directed at me and my mother on the internet. So that'll be really good to find.
So funny enough, right? So Dave keeps mentioning, and I keep seeing in the comments, people freaking love you. Like,
it's been a long road, man, because that was not the case.
Oh, really? Okay. So I must not look farther enough back, but like, I keep hearing that comment, and I completely agree. But like, so when starting out, like, was it a little bit rough?
Oh yeah. Like I was like, first conversations I had with Dave was me saying, yeah, so I'm probably going to have to get some tough skin for the first few months here. And he was like, oh yeah, probably. And like, that was the end of the conversation. He was like, all right, you're on your own. He's like, okay. He was like, there are the cameras. There's the guy that's going to edit. Go make some magic. I was like, okay. And then our first few videos, it was, who the fuck is this guy? What the hell? What is this? He doesn't even lift. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'm glad I moved halfway across the country for this job. This is great. But yeah, man, one of the things that I really wanted to focus in on was, I don't have an ego. I really, really don't. Like, my goal is to help bridge the gap between the audience and the guests that we have, right? Like, I am learning as much from the guests that we have on as someone that's watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I truly never want to be the center of attention. I want to just be a reflective surface for the viewers, the listeners, the readers, anything like that, right? So my biggest goal when I'm on camera with somebody is to help showcase their knowledge and their expertise, and to make them allow them the space to be the star or the person that is the main focus, right? Like I don't want to be the loud guy just being like, yeah, look at me. Like I'll never be the strongest guy at EliteFTS. I'll never be the smartest guy at EliteFTS. But I do say that I give a shit more than most people. Mm-hmm. And I really do pride myself in my ability to help showcase the awesome people that we have access to just everybody that wants to watch and listen.
That was the unique thing that I noticed, especially recently. So you going into multiply, like really digging into it and actually competing.
Yeah.
My word. And I just noticed over several episodes of the podcast and also in the clips, you're speaking up more and getting more informed and also training right. I don't know if that I know that was intentional, like training right alongside Dave in the Train Your Ass Off series. That spoke way more volumes than the content that you were producing, because to me, I'm a listener, I'm a viewer, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, Sam is trying to like get his shit together and actually understand what's going on instead of like talking about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things. I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Like I'm never ever going to be in a position where I'm like, yep, I know everything I need to know. This is it. Right. I didn't know anything about multiply powerlifting, and I was like looking around, and I was joking around with my training partner Adam. I was like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if like you just like threw me in gear? He's like, yeah, it'd be kind of funny. And I was like, should I do it? It's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, fuck it, here we go. And like, that was it. Like that was the thought process. It wasn't like, oh, it's going to be so good for views. It was like, I need to try this thing, because I will kick myself in the ass if I'm at EliteFTS and I don't get the full experience, right? If I'm going to learn multiply, it's going to be from Dave, and the training partners that we have out there who are former Westside guys. So like that's like they know this their shit. So all right, I'm the new guy. I'll just continue being the new guy at this too. And man, did it kick my ass. I went into training and I was like, I have no idea how to do any of this stuff, because it's so different. Multiply is just a different animal. It's just another layer on top of training and on top of powerlifting that I don't think a lot of people understand, because it's something that you really can't do by yourself. Like you can throw a pair of briefs on or shit. You can even throw a squat suit on, but you're never going to maximize or get the most out of that style of training without a team around you, especially people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the first person though that I've ever seen in Train Your Ass Off where Dave has actually kind of allowed you to coach separately. Maybe I haven't gone far enough back in the content, but that seems like a new thing.
Yeah, actually, I was in one of the first few Train Your Ass Offs ever, like as a participant.
Okay.
So that was 3 years ago, that was like 4 or 5 years ago now. That was crazy. But that was a new sort of direction that I don't think Dave or myself knew how it would go.
Yeah.
I went in, we didn't film the very first one just because we didn't know how the hell it was going to go. Like, would I be in the way? Would Dave get pissed? You know what I mean? Like, we had no idea.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, the first one that we did, it was like magic. We just flowed because, and Dave told me this himself after, he goes, you're able to help kind of fill some of the gaps in the experience.
Yeah.
That just being one person, you can't do. Like, he can't be in all those places.
Yep.
And a lot of the times, like, we're bringing in some really, really strong people. Some of our groups, I mean, there were some guys in there squatting 800 pounds raw. Like, it was like just mutants, total gorillas. But there were there were low-hanging fruit in terms of their mobility and their warm-up and their understanding of how things should feel. And it's a really cool thing to see in person and to be a part of, because Dave will kind of critique something, he'll watch, and then he'll ask me like, okay, watch from this angle, look for this thing. What do you notice? What do you see? And then we're both rotating around. I put my perspective on and give it to him. He puts his perspective on, and then we just match those two, because I have a very different background than him.
Yeah.
And he's got, so many more years of experience, but even for Dave to be like, what do you see and what do you think? Like, to just bring me on into that process has been amazing to be a part of. And I feel like even just the little things about making sure everybody's got water, making sure everybody is signed in, but also making sure everybody there feels comfortable for the weekend, right? Like walking into that compound as someone who's never been there before, as a participant in one of these things is totally nerve-wracking, because I've done it a few times, and every time I did it, I was super nervous. And you would always walk in, and it was the end of a training session with the morning crew that we have out there, and you never knew what to expect. The music was blaring. It's intense. And I was able to, as on the other end of it, on the EliteFTS side of it, walk in and know what those people are going to feel and know how to help them get the most out of their weekend, out of their investment. Because one of the first things I tell people is like, come on in, don't be scared. This weekend's about you. Do not be nervous. We are here to support you, to help you with your goals, to help you with what you want to get out of this. And this is your home, and we are here to serve you. It was just like a nice little shift, because you're never going to impress Dave. You know what I mean? You're not going to impress Dave with a squat. You're never going to impress Dave with any sort of lift. And that's what I tell him. I go, this is about you getting better wherever you're at now, just walking out of here, getting better. So anything we can do to help support that, let us know. And for the love of God, get out of this corner of the room, walk around. You're not going to break anything. Don't be so nervous, and just let's get after it. You know,
the compound, again, for people who don't understand what we're talking about, is the EliteFTS main building with the gym. And it is, if you haven't seen the gym tour on YouTube, I think there's a couple of them. Watch it. It's freaking unbelievable.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. If I'm ever up in Ohio, I need to swing by, because that thing is how many square feet is it?
The gym, I'm not entirely sure. The whole building, I mean, we have a massive warehouse in the back.
Yeah.
We have more room than we actually use.
Okay.
Because I think he's got the eye for expansion.
Okay.
But it's huge. It's a massive building.
Yeah. Yeah. Just going back to the training portion. So you said you have a different background than Dave. What was your coaching history and then your training history prior to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I baseball player in high school. I played it my entire life. I played a little bit in college in summer leagues and whatnot, but at that point I was just fried.
Yeah.
It was not the same passionate venture that it was for my entire life leading up to that point.
Yep.
I did the classic undergrad thing of getting really good at drinking beer, like really good. Like I thought that was going to be a sport. Didn't really work out like that. And then one of my buddies at the bar one night was like, "Hey, I started this whole strongman thing. Do you want to do it?" I was like, "What is it?" It's like, "Oh, it's like lifting rocks and trees." And I was like, of course, I was like half drunk. I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that. Let's like lift trees. It'll be great." So the next day, with a half a hangover, he kind of introduced me to the whole strongman thing, and like I was hooked. And like that was the coolest thing. Lifting logs and stones and flipping tires and pulling trucks. Like it was just such a cool thing. And for a few years we did that. I got my way to the national level. I competed at nationals.
Wow.
Did pretty well. And then I got into coaching more in my graduate years. Started coaching in a private setting, like in a commercial gym setting, and worked my way up to working with athletes, working with baseball players, working with general population, working with everybody. I wanted to coach everybody. And then I found myself as the director of health and wellness at a corporate wellness facility. So it was a gym. It was running programs for this bank, like in their headquarters.
Yeah.
It was wearing the polo and khaki pants like every day and working with people that don't want to be there. And it was as corporate as corporate gets.
Ooh.
And I was like, wow, this isn't it. Like this isn't it. This just isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I did what I could there. I was there for about a year and a half, 2 years. And I saw that EliteFTS was hiring. For the time, it said, I think it said coach. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm a coach. Let's see how this goes. Worst they can say is no. So I threw my application in the ring, threw my hat in the ring there. And I just sat there for a day or two, and I was like, "There's no way!" Like they have access to so many cool coaches and people that I'm sure I'm not going to get it, and that's fine. Like I went a day or two, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to hear anything back." I think it was like 4 or 5 days later, after I sent my application and whatnot in, I get a phone call, and I see the phone ringing, and it's from London, Ohio, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is where they tell me I didn't get the job." So I pick up the phone and it's like, "Hi, this is Tracy Tate. Is Sam there?" And I was like, "Oh, this is Sam." She's like, "Yeah, we're interested in having a phone interview with you about the position." And I was like, "Oh, what?" Like, okay, that wasn't what I expected. I don't remember what I said on the phone. There was a lot of babbling and sweating going on, but I was like, yeah, 100, yeah, like whatever. Like, I'll just quit everything now. You want to do it now? Like right this second? I'll do it right now. But they, it was like a day or two later. I jump on a phone call with Tracy, and Dave sits down at the table with Tracy, and we have a phone interview.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like it was like very odd initially, because realistically, like I had never had a conversation with Dave other than the train your ass offs and the seminars that I went to for Elite. And I was like, I had to introduce myself to him every single time. I think I was at EliteFTS like 7 times. I think I met Dave 7 times, and I can promise you he didn't remember my name at all. He didn't remember my face. I was like totally forgettable in every regard. And so I introduced myself again, and he started just kind of talking about the position a little bit, talking about what they're looking for, went over my coaching history and whatnot. And then he asked if I had any questions. And I just started asking questions based on, I pretended like I had the job already. I was like, "Oh, what would we like do with this? What do you think about this for a direction? What do you think about all this other stuff?"
Yeah.
And I got Dave talking, and he was talking and talking and talking and talking and talking.
Wow.
And it was like an hour. I think the whole conversation was about an hour and a half or hour 45 minutes. The first 30 minutes was like the typical interview, and the rest was just Dave telling me just talking and talking and talking and talking.
What?
And then I think Tracy was like, "All right, I think we're good here. We'll let you know how it goes." Like just totally just was like, "Shut the fuck up, Dave. That's enough." Like that's enough. So the phone clicks, we hang up, and I'm sitting at my desk in my house in Rhode Island, just like looking at the wall, just like, what the fuck just happened? Like what just happened? And I was like, all right, well, that was fun. Like I can tell my friends, like I had a phone call with Dave, and we talked about training and we talked about business, and it was really cool. It was like a personal podcast that I had.
Wow.
And so like a day or two goes by, and I was like, all right, well, I'm sure they had somebody else, right? Like, of course, like I wouldn't be the top of my own list if I had to pick. But and then I get another call from London, Ohio again. And I was like, okay, this is where they tell me I didn't get it. Pick up the phone. Tracy's like, "Hey, we're interested in doing an in-person interview." I was like, okay. Like, this time I was like, this is fake. This is super fake. Like, I'm getting punked. I'm waiting for like Ashton Kutcher to walk out. It's like, I have no idea what's going on. So I was like, okay, cool. She's like, "When can you be down here? We'll pay for your flight, pay for an Airbnb, and we get down here as soon as you can." I was like, "Next week?" I had no idea. If I could do next week. I just said, yes, next week I will get on a plane, whatever I need to do. So next week happens. I fly out. I go from the airport directly to Elite, and I find out that the interview is going to be about an hour or so of questions and conversations, like a typical interview. And then I get to do a fake podcast with Dave, and I get to shoot a couple videos with the media team that was there at the time.
Oh my word.
And I was like, oh, panic, just total panic. I was like, oh, this is good. Because for people that have never had a camera shoved in your face, it's a very odd situation. It's a situation that makes you very self-aware, very awkward. It's a lot. It's a lot. So we spent about 6 hours. We did about an hour and a half podcast, which I hope that footage is gone. I hope that footage is absolutely torched. But it was like pick 4 or 5 topics and like just start rolling with Dave.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't remember what we even talked about. Like it just flew by. An hour and a half flew by there. And like everybody watched. So it was like a live studio audience. It was me at the table with Dave. Tracy was there. The entire media team was there, just watching.
No pressure, right?
No pressure at all. And we recorded the whole thing. Everything was recorded, and the lights were on. It was the full setup. And I was like, okay, well, like this is how this goes. And then the videos that we shot again. I don't know where that footage is. I hope it's gone, but apparently I got along with the media team. I was joking around with them. I did 4 or 5 videos, and I didn't even mess up. I just kind of flowed with it, which was nice, which doesn't happen now. I'll tell you that. But it just felt right. It felt like it was the right place. It felt like it was the right time. And then I got back into the conference room, and they're like, oh yeah, we talked to the media team. Me and Dave talked, and we want you to, we want to offer you the position. And I was like, fuck yes. Yes, I will take the position. And they're like, all right, cool. When can you start? And I go, 3 weeks. They were like, cool, 3 weeks. So I got back to the Airbnb, which was like an awesome Airbnb. And I'm just like sitting in the chair. And the first thing I did is I called all of the EliteFTS people that I knew, that I'd worked with up in the New England area. I texted everybody, and I just said, thank you if you had anything to do with any of this. Like if this was a conversation you had with Dave at one point in time, if you vouched for me at all, like that was the first move. I was like, thank you. Wow. And then the second move was to get more Chinese food than I could have possibly eaten and just fucking gorge myself and watch movies. So like that was the 2 things I did after getting the job. But yeah, man, that was kind of a long story, but I don't, to this day, I don't know what the thing was that had them want to pick me for this position. I just think it was the fact that I just kept showing up. Like I was always at their seminars. I was always at the events. I put the money down that I didn't have for the train your ass offs that I participated in. And I just gave a shit, and I showed up. And then 3 weeks after I got the job, I drove my happy little ass from Rhode Island all the way to Ohio. And I guess the rest is history. That was last March.
Wow. And you were applying again for coach. Media was not part of that position.
It was mentioned, but like to the point of like what I'm doing now, I would have been like, I don't know about that.
So like, hey, here you go.
Yeah, they're like, here's this YouTube channel. YouTube, right? And I was like, uh-huh. Oh, yeah. No. And I'm like, Google. I'm like, let me just figure this shit. Well, they gave me the job, so they can't fire me now.
Hey, there you go. So up to this point, so that's what I was going to ask you next is like, what's your media and marketing background? So essentially nil.
Well, I've had my own businesses before with personal training. I've also worked in the seafood industry. Actually, my father was a commercial fisherman, and we ran a seafood wholesaler, retailer, right? Anything that him and the boats that we associated with caught, we would sell. So sales was always like in my background, like, especially with personal training too. Like that's sales. But in terms of like getting in front of a camera and like hopping around, being an asshole, like that was learned. That was a learned behavior.
Yeah.
I've always been comfortable with public speaking. Like that first and foremost, I think was one of the biggest skills. But marketing, it was in the fitness industry. Like I understood what the main goal was.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the fact that like I know way more now than I did walking in, and that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I knew enough to be dangerous,
Okay.
but like not enough to be wildly effective.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and you've been able to learn from, and it sounded like to me like you were probably having side conversations with folks like Juji and
Oh yeah.
Zap Mary, about like additional strategy, which is awesome because those guys are crushing the social media
Yeah.
scene.
And it was, and that was always part of it, because like how can we not learn from each other?
Yeah.
Juju was like, the second time Juju, no, was it the third time? The most recent time Juju and Joey came down, Juju was like, Sam, Jacob, you guys are killing it. Like, tell me everything you're doing. And we're like, whoa,
What?
whoa. I was like, wait a minute.
Wow.
But he's always looking to learn. Like, he's always looking to learn anything. He's always
That's
looking
amazing.
to, pick the brain of anybody in the space, where he could even just get one little nugget that can help with himself and his businesses. He's got multiple businesses.
Yeah.
So like that one like interaction, I was like, wow, this dude is the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like to this day, like we'll like shoot a text or something back and forth. If I see one of his videos and I was like, dude, that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I just have to let him know, because like he knows it's doing well, because like I don't know, 500,000 views is pretty good.
Hey,
but like to see something come from a conversation that we had and him just immediately put it into action is like the coolest shit. Like for everybody that we work with, everybody that comes down, we always try to learn from each other as much as we possibly can. So that's the coolest part.
I don't know if you found this to be the case in the powerlifting space, but I've noticed like Juji in particular, I can vouch for, because he frequents the used gym store here in Hickory, North Carolina, quite often. Yep. He's actually really good friends with the owner up there, and nothing but kind words to say about him and his personality. But powerlifters, the ones that I've interviewed at least, and the ones that I follow, like all seem super down to earth and relatable and willing to like answer anything. It's not like other industries and not like other even training. Like bodybuilding can be somewhat standoffish, I suppose, but like powerlifting, I don't know. You guys are just down to earth.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting with bodybuilding, because the higher the level of bodybuilder is, and the more sponsorships they have, you know what I mean? Like it gets into like very strange territory of like, like, I don't know. It's a very different animal, bodybuilding and like powerlifting, because powerlifters know we're not making any money on this shit.
Right.
like it's like, well, let's just say what we want to say, because no one's going to give us a check, and we're not paying our mortgage with lifting things up and putting them down.
Yep, it's true. Yeah. And being at these different so I went to FitCon in Texas, and just watching the different personalities there it was really interesting to watch. Even strongman, Robert Oberst was very personable. I was able to meet him there, and same kind of in terms of genre. Like, I don't know, seems very similar in terms of what their personalities are like.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I was at I think it was I forgot what strongman show it was in North Carolina. It was like at a Europa.
Oh yeah.
And I was in like the 231 open class, and there was a pro class, and actually Matt Mills was competing. Anthony Furman was competing, and I think Robert Oberst was competing too. Cool. Like it was like a pro level, and there was like there was a heavyweight, and then there was like a middleweight pro. And the guy I met him, and he was a super genuine guy. Like it was like a no bullshit. Like it was pretty straightforward, and I can totally attest to that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Awesome. So let's see. So training and coaching history, and then anything that and you're running the seminars and things now. Oh, by the way, so like, is there any? I know you guys were pulling back a good bit on the train your ass off stuff and not having as many participants going forward. Is there any long-term goal to have you take over more of that and have more people like you in the training involved and be able to have more participants eventually, or is it still?
Yeah. So it's funny. So that's actually a conversation that we'll be having a little bit next week, ironically enough. So like the timing of it couldn't be any more perfect.
Nice.
I one of the big things I want for this coming year is to get back into the old school seminars that EliteFTS is known for.
Oh my gosh. Yes, please do it.
So what we want to do is we want to start using our network of athletes and coaches and almost have these hubs that they can have their own type of seminars at, to bring that experience to more people. I don't know necessarily. I think we'll still have the flagship, like Train Your Ass Off seminar with Dave. That'll be at the compound. But just my point of view is that I think we're going to have something that is more of a road show to go to gyms around the country. It'll be announced probably the next week or two. We're going to start kicking off some more collegiate strength and conditioning seminars at different colleges that have purchased from us, starting seminars there. I think our first one is going to be at Friends University. I should probably know where the hell that one is. It's in the Midwest somewhere. Is it in Kansas? I believe it's in Kansas. But we're going to start kind of building those back up again and getting just more of the EliteFTS in-person educational opportunities back, kind of on the circuit. Yeah. I mean, for a while it was just Dave kind of doing a lot of this content stuff, and now we're to the point where we have a team, and I think we could really execute some really cool shit in different places. Even myself personally, I've gone to gyms in Iowa, having since I've started, and like connecting with gym owners out there, like visiting there, buying a day pass, just training there, like unannounced, just like roll in, do a couple posts from their gym for through the EliteFTS Instagram, shit like that. And people really love it. It's like, they're like, holy shit, you're Sam. And I'm like, holy shit, that's weird that you know me in Iowa. Like, this is like a very strange experience. And it's just, I want people to realize that no matter where they are, like, getting strong is cool, right? Like, being part of a training crew is really cool. And if we can help a gym develop a better culture by just being there, putting on a seminar and like creating that training crew that I get to personally have at EliteFTS. It's like, we want every gym to have that like tight knit group of lifters that just like would do anything for each other. And regardless of what goes on in the outside world, people's opinions and points of view on anything, is like, when you need a spot, they're there. Yeah. Right. So that's one of my biggest pushes for this next year, is to get back into that grassroots of just rolling up to a gym with a crew of people and a bag full of t-shirts and just like learning and educating and like connecting, Yep.
Is you're saying the word seminar, are you saying, is it going to be the same thing as the Train Your Ass Off with the training component? Are you talking about actual kind of conference style where there's lecture?
So we're trying to revamp the whole seminar idea. It's like more of an application. It's the best conversations in a gym happen between sets.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to start bringing that hands-on. It's like, we don't want to just sit in a conference room. You're never going to find us wearing the khakis and the polos. Like, that's not our vibe.
Yeah.
We want to see you put some weight on your back, weight in your hands. And like, that's where we want to learn, and that's where we want to educate, and that's where we want to be. So I say the word seminar because I really don't know what the word would best to describe what we have in mind, but there will be some essence of a Train Your Ass Off experience. Maybe people will get their asses kicked. We really don't know, but like there are going to be a lot of similarities for sure. But I do know for a fact that that's going to be something that I'm going to hopefully spearhead going into this next year, because that's something I'm super passionate about, because it's really, really cool to see what I get to see with Dave and myself and the people that have helped with the Train Your Asses Off in person.
Yeah.
And those breakthroughs, and it's the building of confidence, and it's people taking their training to another level, whether it's between their ears or physically, like whatever that may be.
Yeah.
and to build that network of people that you can connect with is really cool. And we just want to do that in more places.
I got super excited when you said that, which is why I was kind of pressing you a little bit on it, because I remember Dave breaking down conjugate on a whiteboard during that, like, I think it was 2 to 3 day seminar course that he was running. And I was like, if you guys do start doing that again, because I know there was an issue with the funding side of it. If you guys find a way to scale that, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, because it's the funding side is an interesting topic, and obviously Dave can speak more on this in terms of the actual financials of it. But we don't necessarily, like, as a company, we just need to make sure that we're covered in terms of getting our people there.
Yeah.
Like, we're not looking to make a ton of money on this shit, because that's like, it helps the gym more, which hopefully then we can get something on the backside of it in terms of equipment sales and stuff like that. So it's it's not a money grab that most people who run seminars, or I'll even say certifications, sort of kind of run into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, we really want to assist and help the gyms and facilities that have purchased from us, right? Because some of these gyms will spend 150, 200 grand on a weight room. It's like, yeah, of course we'll run in for a weekend seminar for you and help you and let you keep the profits. You know what I mean? Like, duh, why would we not? It doesn't make any sense to not do that. So again, we're lucky enough and fortunate enough to be in a position where, as long as our costs are covered, and like, we'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that idea. You get, I mean, that would give you so much more exposure conceptually than what was happening before, which is like, Dave had to be there every single time, and you had to plan out the whole thing in excruciating detail, I'm sure, make sure it was all the money was there. Because you guys were bringing in other, like you said, other athletes that had to be paid, or like would have needed some compensation as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, obviously people need to not lose money on the deal, right?
Yeah.
Like but at the end of the day, for me personally, like, the relationships that I would build and the connections that we would make as a company and as a brand, like, that far exceeds like a small fee to speak. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different values, right? Like, and I feel like we're in a position where we work with a lot of people that have those similar values and see the benefit to creating those friendships and those relationships over the course of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Slightly off topic. I know, and I want to talk a little bit about how COVID impacted the business, and you may know a little bit less about this, but is there any? I know EliteFTS is producing their own gear, but it's not in house. It's still outsourced or dropped or whatever it is. Is there any long-term play that you know of where they're going to bring the manufacturing side specifically to like London? Or
I mean, we do have for a lot of our products, not a lot, I would say a pretty decent chunk of the equipment side being made in Columbus, right?
Yep.
So we have a local manufacturer that works with us on some of our bars and our garage gym line and stuff like that. But
nice.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the grand scheme, that's on Dave. I have no idea.
Okay.
Me personally, I would love to see that. Yeah. I would love to see a lot of that stuff come in-house and because realistically, the issues that ourselves and I'm sure a lot of other smaller equipment companies are running into is like, how are we going to get, like, if we're not making the stuff ourselves, like, that's just another step in the chain that can go wrong, right? That we don't have that control over.
Right.
So, like I said, I fingers are crossed that is in the works. But again, I think that's just above my pay grade in terms of the actual direction. But like I said, fingers crossed, because I want that. I want that bad.
I just think it could bring even more publicity to the brand. EliteFTS's equipment is already unbelievably top notch, but I see that play bringing things in house would be able to potentially put Elite FTS in the same conversation as Arsenal and Sorinex. Just from I don't know, like name recognition standpoint. So, but that's just me. I'm biased.
No, absolutely. I agree. I think that we need to streamline the process, and what better way to streamline a process than to just do that shit yourself?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Let me think. Okay, so conferences and seminars coming. I'm so excited about that. And you said the first one's going to be in what was that location again?
Friends University. I believe it's in Kansas.
Is that going to be open to the public or just the university?
Oh yeah. That'll be open to the public. You'll be getting. I think we'll be posting something up probably honestly next week. I was on a phone call this morning with the coaches over there with Matt Goodwin and Nate Harvey as well. So we were all like zooming in, just talking about final steps and whatnot. And it's going to be a pretty friggin' sweet lineup. I'll tell you that.
Awesome. I do want to touch on gym equipment just because we run a fitness equipment business here in Charlotte and I'm a gym equipment nerd. So I'm sure you've been asked this question a million times, so I apologize in advance, but what is your favorite Elite FTS piece today?
Today, you know what? Like, it's changed.
Okay.
Right? It's definitely changed because I've seen just how many uses you can use, and it's the yoke bar, man. Like, it's hard to beat that yoke bar. It's just hard to beat that yoke bar for strongman specifically.
Yeah.
Never squatted with a straight bar ever again, I'd be okay. That'd be totally fine. Right? Because that yoke bar puts you in such a disadvantageous position that like it just helps with stones, it helps with deadlifts, it helps with everything. But also let's see. Let me go the not traditional answer. I think the American Cambered grip bar.
Oh,
I did a video on that.
Yes,
man. And I did a video on it, and I was very honest because I said, like, this is the bar I should have bought for my home gym.
Yeah,
when I had it, like I just should have. Like it was so stupid that I didn't buy that bar. Like the uses of it, what you can do with it, because I used to train high school athletes as well from my garage, and like I'm thinking back of all the times, and I'm like, shit, if I just had that bar, that would have been way better.
Yeah. I got excited when you said that because I've been gunning for that bar for probably 3 years now. And I hate to say this, I haven't pulled the trigger on it, but I'm like that close because
I hear you.
It's amazing. Like I haven't seen anything of that quality. I don't know. There's something unique to it that it's not in the market right now. And yeah.
And it's just the versatility of it is like, I immediately thought with my baseball players, inverted rows.
Right? Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, shit. I was like, that would have been so beneficial.
Yeah.
Because you don't have all the equipment for a garage gym.
Right.
But like you can get real creative, even push-ups out of the rack.
Right. Exactly.
Like it's like, I'm an asshole. Like I should have just used that bar. Like it just changes it up so much because I had athletes that were, had some shoulder things, had like a wrist thing, and it was like that bar just sits so perfectly and it sits so nicely. And I've never had somebody with a shoulder thing or a wrist issue go, no, I can't use this bar.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that bar feels really good.
Yeah. Well, and just from a construction perspective, it's fully welded. A lot of the bars on the market have like bolt-on sleeves, which I'm not as big a fan of. And then there are fully welded like cambered bars that are wildly expensive. And this is not,
and it's bulletproof, man. Like it really, it's sturdy. It's not going to break. You're not going to have any issues with it. And it feels great.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be the number. Well, and again, I don't own it, but it'd be like the number one camber bar that I'd ever recommend to anybody.
Yeah, me too. Even like an unbiased of the situation. Like when I made that video, like I was like really kicking myself in the ass. I'm like, I can't believe that I just never bought this bar before.
It's amazing. And all the equipment being overbuilt, I kind of love that a lot. Just in general about EliteFTS's stuff. I know that was a conscious decision, and you guys now have the garage line and stuff, but I think even the garage line's still overbuilt.
Oh,
which
well,
is
it's
good.
funny because like we'll be shooting videos and whatnot in the gym, and like there's we had like rackable camber bars like in racks and yoke bars and shit, and I'm like, God, I was like, why is everything we make so fucking heavy? Like, why? It's just like I'm so sick of moving heavy shit. It sounds so stupid, but I'm like, can somebody move this? I was like, if this was like a little bit lighter, it made my fucking life easier right now. It's like everything is just heavy. Like, and then like our benches, like we have our line of our competition benches at the compound,
Oh my
and
gosh.
like with the rug like that we have underneath it, and with enough people putting leg drive into the ground, they start kind of scooching towards the middle of the room.
Hmm.
So we always have to kind of push them back. And like I watched, who was it? I forgot who it was. It was one of the people that we trained with. Just try to grab it, like grab the bench and just kind of like pull it, and they couldn't. Like there was like, holy shit, that's it. I was like, yeah, what did you think? Like the thing is so heavy. You're not just gonna like whip this stupid thing around. Like, what are you doing? Like it took like a team effort to kind of push that thing back into place. But it was just funny to see. It's like, oh shit, I forgot. Like I forgot how heavy that was.
Yeah, yeah. I also love that I went to Metroflex Gym in Arlington, Texas
Yep.
last year, and they have one of y'all's original. It's like a cambered safety squat bar with like two handles coming out of.
The spider, yeah, the rackable spider bar.
It's crazy, and it's something that's not that you guys don't make anymore. That is the most comfortable bar I have ever trained with, ever.
Yeah, and it's so heavy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those bars that if you're trying to put into like a rack or something, like watch your head, because one side's just gonna take your head off if you're not watching out.
Yeah, it's not, and I like that you guys are cycling through the designs fairly frequently. Like I know there's stuff that you guys will make only once and then it'll be gone. I remember Dave once mentioned, he's like, if you see a specialty bar that somebody makes, not even EliteFTS, like get it because it won't be there next year. It's really funny
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. He also said the same thing about. He was actually talking to Matt Mills this weekend,
Uh-huh.
because Matt's gym. Have you seen Lightning Fitness? Have you seen
No.
that place?
Uh-uh.
Check it out on Instagram. It's probably one of the most stocked gyms you can possibly even see.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and he is such a. And I told him this to his face. I go, Matt, it's really awesome. Like you're the biggest equipment whore I know. Yes, I am. Like he's got everything. Like he's been a massive supporter of EliteFTS, but he also buys Arsenal shit. He also buys
Yeah.
anything that like he buys very specific bodybuilding machines as
Mm.
well. Like he's like that kind of guy,
Yep.
because he's like, yep, if I have this, people will want to come to this gym and try it. You know, he's got pendulum squats, he's got everything you would need. And
Wow.
but even attachments, he's got everything, like everything. It got him in trouble for the first few years of the gym, because any sort of profit he made, he was just buying more equipment. He has now, well, it's a 16,000 square foot gym now, but now he just expanded to the back half of the facility he's in. So now it's going to be 27,000 square feet.
Oh my
And he's
word.
turning the back room into an MMA gym and a pretty much a powerlifting competition room. He'll put the monolift out there just for the competition, the bench out there just for the competition. Like
Wow.
it's pretty awesome. And it's cool to know that he came from I think a 600 square foot gym was his first one. So
Wow. That's insane. Huh.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool story for sure.
Yeah. No kidding. Uh, what do you, just one more question on the equipment side. What would you say is the percentage of, or how often are you guys experimenting with new equipment and new types of equipment? Is it every week or every month? Do you have like a release schedule or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like it's funny. So in our organizational system that we have, it's called Basecamp. There's like different sections, and you can see where like Matt Goodwin, Nate Harvey, and Dave are like communicating back and forth. So like, what about this? What about that? Like there are things in the works which are going
Okay.
to be really, really cool. And there are things that'll never see the light of day because we'll get a prototype like, that was stupid. That'll never work. But a lot of it comes from information that we get from our athletes and coaches. It's like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Or have you ever thought about doing this? And we're like, no, we haven't. And let's try it. Right. So we did a video a few weeks ago. Matt Goodwin mentioned that it was like this custom storage unit that he made for him, like literally for his, like he had it manufactured just for himself. And it's like, oh shit, like, why don't we just sell this on the website too? Huh. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's, hey, new item. That's what we got. So a lot of the time it just comes from us training and realizing like, this could be better.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's see if we can make this better, you know?
Yep. Have you guys started to solicit, because like you mentioned at the outset, a lot of that stuff seems to be geared towards competitive athletes. Have you guys started to solicit more feedback from the garage gym or the home gym community for equipment builds?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always looking for comments. We're looking for, if anybody has any ideas, feel free to shoot them over to me in an email. Like we're very open and very transparent with like what we're working at, like what we will, if someone gives us a good idea, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is Joe's idea. Like this is Joe's, we'll name it after you. Like, we don't care. But like, we just want to make lifting better for everybody. Yep. Right. Like we just want to create equipment that people will use and that will make their lives easier. Right. So like, if anybody has any ideas at all, shoot them our way, you know?
Awesome. Sam, where can people find you? I know you do training as well. Is it online or in person?
So I do both. I really, really hate free time, as you can tell. So I do in-person training, but I also do remote coaching and whatnot as well. Nice. You can find me, practicemovement.com is my personal brand. I have online clients and whatnot. I'm a McGill method certified practitioner, so I work with a lot of people with their low backs and whatnot as well. Nice. But find me on Instagram, Sam Brown Strength. Find me all over the EliteFTS YouTubes. I'm the dopey one in the video. But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, and I apologize for it taking so long, but life has a tendency of kicking me square in the genitals sometimes.
No need to apologize at all. Sam, I really appreciate your time, man, and I'll let you get back to it, but thank you so much for coming on. Man, it means a whole lot.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out and staying right there. Just keep tapping me on the shoulder, reminding me about it, and let me know anytime you want me on again if this goes well.
Yeah, no,
if it goes poorly, then you can just delete my number entirely.
We can forget this ever happened.
Yeah, we just delete it. It's fine.
Awesome. Thank you for listening. Please give Freedomcast a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean a lot to our business. Plus, it's fun to read y'all's reviews. See you next time.